Hey parents, Carmine here with your video review of Assassin's Creed Unity. Assassin's Creed Unity is an ambitious game that puts players straight in the middle of the French Revolution, while the main character, Arno, seeks his revenge for the death of his adoptive stepfather. While the gameplay can get repetitive fairly quickly, those who enjoyed the first few Assassin's Creed games will feel right at home in this expansive, detailed game. The city is beautiful, and the artist clearly went into painstaking detail to make each district feel unique. This is the kind of experience that can make almost anyone want to learn more about the history of the French Revolution and the people that played a critical role in its progression. Unsurprisingly for a game where the main character is an assassin, violence is by far the most important factor in this game. The player will have access to a variety of weapons, almost all of which will have similar effects. Normal hits on enemies will result in some blood that splashes on the enemy's environment and the player, but this goes away after a short period of time. Hits from larger weapons, such as swords and axes, will usually result in somewhat more blood, but this is mostly because it takes more hits to kill enemies with these weapons than with a hidden blade or any firearms. While there is no gore in this game outside of the cutscenes and certain parts of the environment, this statement comes with a slight caveat. The player will frequently perform brutal finishing moves against enemies, many of which should involve gore of some sort. However, despite the level of violence involved in these maneuvers, my statement about the lack of gore still stands. That doesn't hold true for the cutscenes and certain sections around the city, though. If you know anything about the French Revolution, you should know about the brutality of the citizenry. Assassin's Creed Unity stays true to this by including the guillotine and decapitations, often depicting them in surprisingly gruesome detail. There are a number of cutscenes where people will be decapitated either by hand or by the guillotine, and their heads are held high for the crowds to see. The player can also watch in the city as random characters are decapitated by guillotines while huge crowds watch. Individuals in these crowds will sometimes even carry around decapitated heads on spikes. There is one other cutscene worth mentioning. In it, Arno and Elise catch up with Robespierre. Elise, tired of trying to extract information from Robespierre, shoots the man in the cheek. Gore is definitely present, but it's fairly brief. Substances in this game are so mild that I'm not even going to mention them. They'll be in the written review if you're really concerned. Sexuality is basically just as minor, except that in one scene the somewhat infamous Marquis de Sade sits next to a potentially drugged prostitute kissing her hand in an extremely creepy way. Oh, and she's not wearing pants. This is the only time anything like this is ever seen in the game. As a result of the decapitations and other violence, but lack of any other mature content, we gave this game a recommended age of 16 years old. For the full written review, including the extra categories, log on to SideStoryGames.com.